The sky turned red. No one on the alien planet Zelysia had ever seen a color like that in their atmosphere. Red meant danger. Red meant death. The elders screamed warnings in Old Tongue as the ground shook violently. And then came the thunder, not from clouds, but from ships. Human ships. No one believed the legends. For thousands of cycles, humans were considered ancient myths. Creatures of chaos and strange behavior, driven by instinct and emotion. But now they were here. And their ships were not silent. They roared. Inside the underground halls of the Zenari Citadel, a young alien female named Illyra crouched behind a control panel. She was a junior xenoanatomist, not a soldier. She studied alien bodies, especially extinct ones. She never expected to meet a living alien species, let alone fight one, especially not humans. The command center lights flickered, and the entire complex shook again. Soldiers ran past her, shouting orders. Weapons activated. Drones buzzed. A siren wailed, one she had only heard in old war recordings. And then a large screen blinked on. Illyra's 4 lavender eyes went wide. There, standing with a strange mix of confidence and calm, was a human. A male, wearing black armor that reflected the fire from outside. His voice came through, rough but controlled. "You attacked our scouts. This is your warning. We don't want war. But we never lose one." The transmission ended. Silence returned. Illyra's breath caught. So, they weren't monsters. They had voices. They gave warnings, but something about that human unnerved her. His eyes, they weren't angry. They were curious. A few hours later, Illyra was ordered to help treat captured humans brought to the medical bay. One was injured, his leg bleeding badly. She approached, shaking. The first human she had ever seen up close. He was taller than she imagined. Pale skin, strange hair, and her eyes drifted down, then froze. What in the stars was that? Between the human's legs, something moved under the fabric. Long, thick, shifting. Illyra's jaw dropped. Her translator device buzzed, struggling to identify the correct word. Her mind rushed through every species she'd ever studied. Was it a parasite? A symbiotic creature? A snake? She stepped back quickly, her hands trembling. The human noticed. He chuckled slightly, even though he was in pain. "Relax, it's just biology." "Biology?" Illyra blinked rapidly. There's something alive between your legs," he grinned. "Technically, yes." Illyra turned red from cheeks to antenna tips. Later that night, she couldn't sleep. She sat in the observation dome, recording what she saw in her notes. The human anatomy contains an independently moving structure. Likely used for mating, but under conscious control? Possibly tied to emotion or proximity to females? Further research needed. She looked out the dome window, where smoke still rose from the battlefield. But her mind wasn't on the war anymore. It was on that thing. What kind of creature could hold such confidence? Such unpredictability? And still smile? She didn't understand humans. But one thing was now clear: these creatures were not just myth. They were something far more dangerous. They were real. And they were interesting. Illyra sat at the end of the medical bay, pretending to study a chart. But her 4 eyes kept drifting toward the human lying on the table across from her. He wasn't unconscious anymore. In fact, he seemed too calm for someone who was shot during the battle. His leg was wrapped in med tape, and although he winced now and then, he still had the same strange smile on his face. She had learned his name earlier from the guards. Corbin, human male. Species, Homo sapiens. Role, recon scout. Illyra's heart pounded. Every time she remembered the moment when the strange snake-shaped thing moved beneath his clothing, her face turned bright purple. And now, She had questions, but how could she ask? She looked down at her notebook, filled with messy drawings and notes from her observation. Human genital structure reacts to environment. Is it dangerous? Defense organ? Emotional signal? Why does it move on its own? She couldn't focus. Curiosity itched at her brain like static dots, so, with a deep breath, she stood up and walked over to Corbin's table. Corbin looked up at her. With half-lidded eyes, "You again," Alira nodded. "Yes, I was assigned to monitor your condition," he smirked. "And by condition, you mean the mystery snake?" She blinked. "Yes, what is it? Is it alive?" He burst out laughing, and Alira stepped back, confused and slightly embarrassed. "No," Corbin said, wiping a tear from his eye. "It's not a snake. It's just part of me. It's, well, human reproductive anatomy. Perfectly natural." She tilted her head. "It moves independently," he nodded. "Sometimes, yes. It's blood flow, nerves, and, attraction? Attraction?" She repeated, unfamiliar with the word's meaning in this context. "It means, when a human feels something strong toward another being," he said carefully, "a mix of emotion and biology. Toward another being?" She said softly, almost whispering. He met her eyes, and for a second, neither of them spoke. The door to the medical bay slid open, breaking the silence. Two Zanari soldiers walked in, looking serious. "Alira," one said, "you've been reassigned. The council wants your full report on human physiology immediately." She nodded, hiding her notebook behind her back. One soldier looked at Corbin with disgust. "Be careful. That one's dangerous, even when he's smiling." But Corbin didn't flinch. He just raised one brow and leaned back, muttering, "You'd be amazed what humans can do while smiling." Later that day, Alira stood in front of the Council of Elders. High-ranking Zanari surrounded her, waiting for her report. She cleared her throat. "I have observed the human male known as Corbin. Physically, he is both strong and strangely soft. Their anatomy is more fluid. Their emotions directly affect their biology." A few elders leaned forward. She continued, "I also observed a unique structure. It appears to activate based on emotional triggers, especially related to attraction. It is not a weapon but may be used in mating rituals." "Mating rituals?" One elder repeated with a raised brow. "Yes, and they do not hide it." The human even laughed when I pointed it out. He seemed proud. The elders whispered among themselves, clearly puzzled. One finally asked, "And what do you think of them, Alira?" She paused. "I think humans are unpredictable, emotional, but not monsters. They are more than what the legend said. They are confusing, but also fascinating." Back in the medbay, Corbin stared at the ceiling. The silence was killing him. He hated being locked up. Sure, he was injured, but his mind worked just fine. And now, all he could think about was the alien girl with the big eyes and soft voice, Alira. She didn't treat him like a prisoner. She asked questions, real ones. Not about war, but about him. And that made him nervous and curious. That evening, Alira returned to the medbay with a small food tray. "I brought you our local nourishment paste." He smiled, sniffing the bowl. "Smells like feet," she blinked. "I don't know what feet smell like," he chuckled. "Trust me, that's a good thing." She sat next to him. "May I ask, does your anatomy always react when near other species?" He raised a brow. "You mean that again?" She nodded. "I need more data, for science," Corbin smirked. "Then get ready, Doc. You've just entered the weird world of humans." Alira sat alone in the observation lab, eyes fixed on the glowing screen. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of machinery and the gentle click of her claws tapping the console. She had replayed the footage 10 times, each time pausing at the exact moment the structure beneath the human's clothing reacted. It still moved on its own. She whispered to herself, emotion-based biological response. Fascinating. But why? A message flashed across the screen. Test subject Corbin cleared for non-invasive study. Her heart skipped. They had approved her request. The next morning, Alira returned to the medbay with a small cart of harmless scanning tools. Corbin, sitting up in bed with a bandage still on his leg, raised a brow. Back already, Doc? Miss me? She ignored the tease. You've been cleared for scientific study. I will perform external scans only. No pain, just data. He grinned. So, I'm your science project now? You are. Unique, she said softly, focusing her scanner. As she began scanning, Corbin watched her carefully. She was so focused. So serious. Her 4 lavender eyes moved quickly between the device and her notepad. But then, something odd happened. The scanner beeped, and a red warning blinked. Unusual biological activity detected. Lyra looked up. It's happening again, Corbin blinked. You mean, yes, the movement. He rubbed the back of his neck. Yeah, that can happen when I'm nervous, or if someone's too close. She froze. She had been leaning in. Oh, I see. She quickly stepped back. So distance affects the response? He laughed softly. Sometimes, but mostly it's about thought. Or attraction. Alira nodded slowly. Then we'll test different situations. Over the next 2 hours, she tried every safe variable she could think of. Standing close. Speaking in different tones. Showing him images of other species. Even humming a calming Zanari tune? Each time. The scanner recorded changes, but none were as strong as when she leaned too close. This confused Alira deeply. So, it reacts strongest when I am near? But I am not your species. Corbin smirked. That's the funny thing about humans. It's not always about species. Sometimes it's just a feeling. Alira looked at her chart. Nothing in science explained that. Humans are very strange. We like to keep it interesting. Later, Alira met with her mentor, high scientist Trevin. He was older, with silver skin and 3 thick head ridges. He looked over her data silently. Then he said, You've gotten close to the human. Alira nodded. For the study? Yes. And outside the study? She hesitated. He talks to me. He's not like the others. He smiles. He jokes. He answers questions honestly. Trevin frowned. Be careful, Alira. Curiosity is good, but humans are dangerous. That anatomy may confuse you, but it's meant to manipulate. Nature gave them that weapon for a reason. Alira's antenna twitched. I don't think it's a weapon. It can be, Trevin said flatly, if you're not careful. That night, she returned to the medbay to find Corbin sitting at the edge of the bed, holding the scanner. Trying to scan yourself? She asked. He grinned. Curiosity works both ways. She sat beside him, setting the scanner down. Corbin. She said quietly, Do all humans have this much reaction? He shrugged. Not always. But when we're around someone we find interesting, or beautiful, maybe, Alira blinked. You find me beautiful? There was silence. He looked at her and said honestly, yes. She didn't know what to say. Her cheeks flushed purple again, and her hands fumbled with her notes. This is not. In the report, she mumbled. Corbin leaned back, chuckling. That's okay. Some things don't fit into reports. As she left the medbay, her head buzzed with new questions, not about science, but about emotions. Why did her heart beat faster when she was near him? Why did she feel warm when he smiled? Was this just curiosity, or was it something else? The moonlight on planet Silesia was soft and blue. casting long shadows through the glass ceiling of the Citadel's medical wing. Illyra stood alone in the empty corridor, her notebook clutched tightly in her hands. Her latest entries weren't just about anatomy anymore. They had started to include feelings. Human subject Corbin continues to display emotional attachment during interaction. Subject's responses now affect my own biosignals. Conclusion. Emotional contamination likely. Isolation may be necessary. She closed the notebook with a sigh. Her fingers trembled. She hadn't reported everything. Especially not what he had said the night before. "You're beautiful." Those words kept echoing in her head. No male Xenari had ever said that to her. Not even once. And yet this human, this strange, injured, joking creature had said it without hesitation. Inside the medbay, Corbin sat up when he saw her return. He smiled. "Hey, Doc. Come to poke me with more science again?" "No," she said softly, closing the door behind her. "No more tests tonight." He blinked. "Then why are you here?" Illyra hesitated. Her eyes met his. "I don't know." Corbin patted the chair beside his bed. "Sit. We'll figure it out together." She slowly walked over and sat beside him, holding her notebook like a shield. Corbin noticed her nervousness. "You okay?" "No," she whispered. "You said something strange last night." "I meant it," he said without delay. "You're different from everyone I've met. And not just because you've got 4 eyes." She glanced away, embarrassed. "Humans confuse me. You smile when angry. You joke when hurt. And now, you say strange things that make my stomach twist," he chuckled. "That might be what we call butterflies, emotional reaction. It's normal, but I'm not human. You don't have to be." A long silence filled the room. Then Illyra asked quietly, "What does your anatomy do when emotions get too strong?" Corbin raised a brow. "You mean that again?" She nodded, genuinely curious. "If emotional signals increase, does the organ activate further?" He tried not to laugh, but her serious expression made it hard. "Yes, sometimes. It can become more, noticeable, more intense." "Is it dangerous?" she asked innocently. "Only if you're not ready for what comes next." Her cheeks flushed a deep purple. "I see." Suddenly, the door slid open. Trevin entered, his tall figure casting a long shadow across the room. "Illyra," he said coldly. "I warned you. You've gone too far." She stood up quickly. "I was gathering data." "No, you were compromising yourself, and now the council wants the human transferred." Corbin stood too, though he winced from his injury. "Hey, hold on." "You'll be moved to a higher security zone," Trevin told him, "where you won't distract our scientists." "No," Illyra said quickly. "That's not necessary." Trevin narrowed his eyes. "Then tell me, Illyra, what is this really about? Science or something else?" She went silent. Her silence spoke louder than any words. Trevin sighed. "You've been compromised. Effective immediately, you're removed from the research team." Later that night, Illyra stood outside the Citadel's transport docks. She felt hollow. She had lost everything. Her research, her position, her chance to understand humanity. But worst of all, she was being kept away from Corbin. Her notebook sat open on her lap, not full of charts or diagrams anymore, just words. "I don't know what this feeling is, but I don't want it to stop. Even if it's wrong, even if it breaks the rules." Behind her, soft footsteps approached. She turned. Corbin stood there, leaning against the wall, clutching his side. I snuck out. Her eyes widened. "You're still hurt." "Didn't stop me," he smiled. "I needed to see you." Illyra looked down. "I'm not a scientist anymore." "Good," he said. "Then I can talk to you like a person." "Not." A project. He stepped closer, gently lifting her chin. You asked me before if this part of me was dangerous. She nodded. It can be, he said softly, but only when used without care, but with the right person. It's something else, something honest. Illyra's hands trembled. Corbin, what are you saying? I'm saying maybe this whole war, this mess, gave us something strange. Something rare. She closed her notebook, stood up, and looked him in the eyes. I want to learn more. Not just about your anatomy, but about you. Asterisk, the stars above Zelysia twinkled in quiet patterns, unaware of the trouble unfolding below. Inside the abandoned greenhouse behind the citadel, Corbin and Illyra sat across from each other, hidden between tall, glowing vines. This place was forgotten during the war. Now it became their secret meeting spot. Illyra still wore her scientist's coat, but her notebook remained shut. No scanning, no experiments. Just conversation. Corbin sat with one leg stretched, still healing, yet refusing to leave her side. You risked everything, Corbin said softly. Your job. Your position. For what? A weird human with bad jokes and a strange snake? Illyra blushed deep purple again. It's not about that. I don't know why, but I feel something when I'm near you. I don't understand it. It's not logic, not science. It's something else, he nodded. It's the same for me. Suddenly, a soft rustle came from outside the greenhouse. They both froze. Did someone follow you? Illyra whispered. Corbin shook his head, pulling her down behind a vine wall. The sound passed. Just wind, but the fear stayed. If they find you with me, they'll punish you, Corbin whispered. I'm still their enemy. You're not my enemy, Illyra said firmly. Not anymore. Days passed. Their secret meetings continued short and cautious. They talked, laughed, and once they even held hands. Illyra couldn't believe how warm his skin felt. No Zanari ever felt like that. One day, Corbin leaned in closer than before. Their faces were inches apart. Illyra, he said softly, can I ask something stupid? Yes. Why do I want to kiss you so badly? Illyra's eyes widened. What is kissing? He blinked. You don't know? She shook her head. He smiled. It's a human thing. A way to show closeness, trust, and sometimes love. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Show me. Corbin leaned forward slowly, giving her time to back away. She didn't. Their lips met lightly, gently. It was soft, strange. New. Illyra gasped, eyes wide. That caused internal chemical spikes. Heart rate increased. Brain heat up by 3 degrees. Corbin laughed. Yep, that's a kiss. Illyra stared at him, her cheeks still glowing. I want another one. He kissed her again. Longer this time, and somewhere in the citadel, a silent alarm triggered. At the same time. Back in the command chamber, High Scientist Trevin watched a blinking screen. Unauthorized movement had been detected in the old greenhouse. He narrowed his eyes. I warned her. He turned to the guard beside him. Bring them both in, quietly. The next night, Illyra waited in the greenhouse. Corbin hadn't arrived yet. Then she heard footsteps, too many. She turned and froze. Trevin and 2 armed guards stepped through the leaves. Illyra, step away from the human. Corbin appeared from the side, his shirt soaked in sweat. Don't touch her. Trevin raised a hand. This is not personal. This is science. This is protection. You, human, are corrupting one of our brightest minds. Illyra stepped in front of Corbin. No, I made my choice. I'm not confused, Trevin scowled. You let emotion take over your work. That's not science. That's weakness. Corbin narrowed his eyes. Where I come from, caring about someone is strength. Trevin motioned to the guards. Take them both. The guards moved fast. Corbin lunged to protect Alira, but his leg gave out. They pushed him to the ground. One held him down. Alira struggled as they grabbed her arms. Let go! He hasn't done anything wrong, Trevin spoke coldly. Then, perhaps it's your mind that's infected. Don't you dare! Corbin shouted, but it was too late. Trevin pulled out a small device, a memory scan injector. Alira's eyes widened in fear. No, please don't erase this. She meant the memories, the feelings, everything they shared. Corbin struggled harder. You touch her with that, and I swear, a blinding light exploded above them. The greenhouse roof shattered as a hover drone crashed through, firing a stun blast that knocked the guards back. Rebel forces. Voices shouted from outside. Alira! Corbin! Move! It was the underground peace faction's Inari who believed in coexistence. They had been watching, waiting for a moment to act. Alira grabbed Corbin's hand and ran through the broken vines. Hearts racing, sirens blaring behind them. They didn't stop until they reached the outer tunnels of the Citadel. Breathing hard, Alira turned to Corbin. You okay? He nodded. Barely. She looked down. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to get hurt again. He touched her cheek gently. You were worth every bruise. She leaned into him, finally understanding something. This wasn't just science. This was real, and real things are always dangerous. But always worth it. Asterisk, the rebel base was hidden deep beneath Silesio's crust, in old lava tunnels forgotten by the government. It was dark, damp, and cold, but it was safe. For now, Corbin lay on a makeshift bed, his injured leg freshly wrapped. The wound had reopened during their escape. Alira sat nearby, watching over him, holding a wet cloth to his forehead. You're stubborn, she whispered. Corbin opened one eye. And you're glowing again. Alira touched her cheeks quickly. No, I'm not. Yes, you are, he grinned. Purple cheeks. That's your tell. She turned away, trying not to smile. You shouldn't talk. You need rest. And you need to stop blaming yourself, he said firmly. You didn't cause this. Alira stayed silent. Deep inside, she knew Trevin wasn't just angry, he was scared. Her relationship with Corbin broke rules that weren't just about science. They were about identity, culture, and control. That night, a Zanari rebel commander named Veril called Alira into the war chamber. We intercepted a message, he said. The council has placed a retrieval order on you and the human. Retrieval? Alira asked, heart sinking. Veril nodded. Alive if possible. Dead if necessary. Her claws clenched. They think I'm dangerous now? They think love is dangerous, Veril said. You challenged their system. You made a human more than a subject. Alira looked down. I never planned this. No one does, Veril said. But when it happens, you must decide what matters most. Back in the sleeping area, Alira sat beside Corbin again. He was half asleep, mumbling strange human words in his dreams. She brushed his hair gently. Her fingers lingered on his forehead. This human, this impossible, emotional creature had changed her world. He wasn't like the legends. He wasn't wild or mindless. He was brave, kind, real, and that strange, snake-like part of him, that wasn't the thing she feared anymore. The next morning, Alira met with the rebel scientists. We need to show the council the truth, she said. I recorded data, scans, reactions, emotions. If they see that human anatomy is not dangerous, maybe they'll listen. The elder rebel sighed. Alira, they don't fear the body. They fear the bond. Then we'll show them that the bond can be good. He nodded slowly. Risky, but maybe it's time. Hours later, Corbin was strong enough to sit up. You Want to walk into the lion's den? He asked. Yes, Alira said. I want to prove we aren't broken, that we aren't wrong. Corbin looked her in the eyes. Alira, I don't want to lose you. Then come with me. The next day, they entered a small, stealth transport and flew silently toward the surface. Alira held Corbin's hand the entire way. If anything goes wrong, she whispered, run. He squeezed her hand. Not without you. The Citadel's great chamber had never been this quiet. Elders sat in rows, watching as Alira and Corbin walked in together. Gasps echoed. Trevin stood. This is highly irregular. Let her speak, said an elder from the far end. Alira stepped forward, holding up her data scroll. I have proof. Emotional and physical scans. Every part of human biology that frightened us, it's misunderstood. It responds to emotion, not aggression. It is not a weapon. She paused. But more than that, I have proof of something else. Corbin stepped forward too. He looked around the room. I didn't want to fall for someone from another world. But I did. She's not my species, but she's my equal. My partner. Alira added, you always told us to study the unknown, but you never said what to do when the unknown cares back. Silence filled the chamber, until Trevin barked, this is manipulation. Emotion over science. Biology clouded by desire. Alira looked him in the eye. Isn't that what makes us alive? A long silence. Then the eldest counselor stood. You broke rules, Alira, she said. But maybe those rules were never meant for times like this. She looked at Corbin. And you, human, are not what we feared. Another elder added, we must rethink what makes a species dangerous. Perhaps it is not the anatomy, but the fear inside our hearts. Outside, the sky began to clear. The red clouds that once signaled war slowly faded, revealing the true color of Zalesia's sky's soft blue, like earth. Corbin and Alira stood together, hand in hand. The world hadn't accepted them fully yet, but it hadn't destroyed them either, and that was enough for now. Asterisk. Peace did not arrive with cheers. It came quietly, like a deep breath after a long panic. 3 weeks had passed since Alira and Corbin stood before the Zanari Council. The debates had continued for days after, but something had changed. No one looked at the human with fear anymore. Curiosity had replaced it. A slow, cautious respect was beginning to grow. Alira now worked at a new science division, one focused on interspecies understanding. Not war, not dominance, but empathy. She stood in the middle of the lab, giving a presentation on her latest research. The human reproductive anatomy is deeply connected to their emotions, she said clearly. And their emotional instincts are not a weakness. They are a strength, a guide. Behind her, a screen showed harmless scan readings and emotional triggers. The same ones she had once tried to hide. In the front row, Corbin sat proudly, his arms crossed and a smile on his face. He had healed. Fully this time. Not just his leg, but the fear in his eyes. After the session, Corbin walked up to her with a grin. You said reproductive anatomy in front of 50 people. I'm proud of you. She blushed. I kept it professional. He leaned closer. That snake between my legs helped start a revolution. Alira smacked his arm gently. Corbin, he laughed. Kidding, mostly. That evening, the two walked to the same greenhouse where everything began. It had been repaired. Flowers now bloomed where smoke once lingered. Peace was still new, still fragile, but it was growing. Just like them, they sat on the bench, watching. The glowing petals light up under the moonlight. I never imagined this, Alira whispered. Me, you, together. Corbin reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. A ring, made of alloy and glowing blue stone Zanari craft mixed with human design. I didn't either, he said, but now I can't imagine anything else. Alira's eyes widened. Is this? On Earth, we give this to someone when we want to spend the rest of our lives with them. It's called a proposal. Her hands trembled. But I'm not human. I know, he said. That's what makes it perfect. A long silence passed. Then Alira reached out and took the ring. I don't understand everything about your kind yet, she said softly. But I want to spend my life trying. Corbin smiled. Then that's a yes? That's a yes. Months passed. Their bond became a symbol across two species. Other scientists followed Alira's path, exploring relationships, not just anatomy. Humans and Zanari began to work together, study together, and yes, even love together. No more hiding. No more shame. Corbin and Alira's story became a lesson that sometimes the most powerful discovery isn't in books or labs. It's in the heart. One evening, while lying under the stars, Alira rested her head on Corbin's chest. She listened to the steady beat of his heart, a rhythm so different from her own, yet strangely comforting. She whispered, Corbin, what if they never truly accept us? He looked up at the sky. Then we make our own place, our own rules, our own future. She smiled. You really are a strange creature. And you, he said, are the best mistake I've ever made. She laughed, wrapping her arms around him. I love you, strange human, and I love you, curious alien. In a galaxy full of war, confusion, and fear, two lives crossed. By accident, one studied the body, the other followed the heart, and together they found something worth fighting for. Not just love, not just peace, but understanding. And in the end, that was the most human thing of all.